All right, ARCA at Darlington. Here are my settings. If you watch a lot of these, you'll know that I do minus 12 a lot of the time at intermediates, but here I do minus 15. It's just what feels right to me, having that steering wheel be completely neutral on the straightaways, so like no left input, no right input. That's all the offset does. It doesn't affect speed or anything, so feel free to do that however you want. Same thing with ratio. I know that you can go to 14 if you're on a small wheel like me here pretty darn easily, just because the 3 and 4 gets a little tight sometimes. But at the end of the day, none of that matters too much. And then brake bias all the way low because we like that rotation in 3 and 4. Could be a first lap, hot lap, but I just haven't been able to quite get the grip, so it's probably going to be second lap, hot lap. I'm going to give it a try, turn 1 and 2 here, but I just don't have that rear grip, I don't think, but we'll see. I might just bail on it. Okay. That's pretty good, actually. Let's see if my rears can hold on to as I turn down here. A little sketchy. Oh, that's pretty good. I like that. All right, should be good for 3 and 4 now. A little loose, but not bad. Let's try another lap just for the heck of it. We'll be a little bit slow going into here. Get a better turn down here. A little slide there. Let's try an alternate line 3 and 4 to see if it's better. We'll go middle instead of bottom. No, I needed to carry that amount of speed for it to be faster than the bottom. But I think the bottom is going to be the best for qualifying. I could be wrong. 3 and 4 always seems to have alternate lines that kind of compete with each other for hot lap. So if it ends up being middle, you just apply the same concepts I'm going to talk about on the bottom, except do them in the middle. But I really think that the bottom is best from at least where I'm at. So coming to our lap here, I'm just trying to get on this throttle as early as possible. In 3 and 4, even on the run-up lap, you can only really hold that 60-ish% throttle. You just want to hold the perfect amount of throttle to where you don't have to turn the steering wheel. That's how loose you're getting. And then I'm kind of letting my car rotate its rears down the track a little bit so that I don't have to do much steering input to get out of the corner, kind of like the car is rotating itself. Turn 1 here, pretty technical. So I'm going to try to get a late turn down. It's very easy to try to turn down too early into here, but the later you can turn down and still hit that bottom, the better angle you're going to have set up for you to keep off the wall. So the shallower you enter, the easier it is to hit the wall. The wider you enter, the more comfortable it is avoiding the wall. So I get the late turn down, and I'm holding about half throttle, or I go all the way down to the quarter as I'm coming down the track, and then as I start coming up the track, I actually go to half. Why do I do that? Because that amount of throttle is the amount of throttle that isn't really upsetting the car, and it'll still do what it wants to do. So I'm bringing it all the way up to the amount that does that. Anything more than that will start plowing the car, so you don't want to do that. And so what I'm doing is I'm just holding that throttle, slightly raising it as I feel more rotation in the car. And you can see that how my wheel does not change from here all the way to the wall. So all that rotation should be coming under throttle. If it's not coming under throttle, then you either are sending it too hard or you're not sending it hard enough. But the throttle should be able to naturally turn the car off the wall if you're holding it at around that 60 to 70%. Okay, so once I realize I have all of my rotation, I throttle full. I throttle into the wall without hitting it, and then I just lock my line in up by the wall for a little bit. And then by the time I get to that Geico sign, I start turning down. You probably want to delay that a little bit more than I did. You definitely don't want to be turning down before that Geico sign right here. But ideally, you want to start turning down after. But sometimes when you start turning down too late, it'll plow again because you're putting too much steering input into it. So you see I do a little tiny lift here to get the car started to turn down the hill. So you don't always have to do that if you have the perfect entry, but you're not going to have the perfect entry very often. So be ready to have to lift a little bit, but you don't have to lift too much. And then if all that goes right, this should kind of just drive itself. If you do everything in the setup correctly, this should be the easy part of the corner. And I guess the hard part of it would be keeping the car under you. But as long as you can keep the car under you, the easy part is just letting the car rotate and get off the corner. So we put that all together and it kind of looks like this. So Lower the throttle down, start raising it, find the lock-in point, throttle up into the wall, wait by there, turn down as late as you can without locking up the car, and then just let the car rotate off the corner. Little tiny bit sloppy getting off the wall a little bit too early, but it was manageable. 3 and 4, I'm going to go for the bottom here. I think bottom or middle lane should be fine. This car has really low grip for what I'm used to at Darlington, so I would not recommend the top line, the wall ripping line. You have to slow down way too much. I kind of like this line, which I think about Homestead when I drive this line. You go down to the bottom, and then you let the car slide up one lane, and then lock it into the next lane. So you can see how I let my car slide up to the seam, and then I drive it on the seam. If you force it to stay down on the bottom, you're going to overslow your car. If you enter too high, it's going to start sliding up even more and you might hit the wall. So I think that the compromise is that you enter low and you let it slide up a little bit, but then you make sure that it gets locked in. And how do you make sure it gets locked in? Well, you don't overcook the throttle. Again, only on half throttle until the car rotates as much as I want it to. Full throttle as I start to unload the wheel. Lost maybe 2 or 3 hundredths, sliding my rears a little bit off the corner. But overall, not too bad. Tire saving here is going to be a bit of a doozy because the ARCA car loves to burn right front here naturally, but this setup is going to put the car on the right rear a lot. So we're going to have an interesting mix of this track will just love to shred all of our tires. Let's drive the car as neutrally as we can, and I'll show you how to keep decent speed without shredding your tires. So I really like early braking, early entries here, so I can get to the bottom and kind of just let it sit on the bottom. And instead of letting the car slide up, I'm just going to ride the throttle down here, get a little bit worse of an exit just for that stability. And you can see the exit wasn't even that bad because we slid a little bit in the first place. Turn 1, you're just going to do what you always do. Like the qualifying line in turn 1 and 2 is the line for the long run. The only thing that might be different is if you get a really long run, maybe at the end of the race, it might be slick up there, so you might have to avoid the very top line. I overcooked that a little bit. But you can see I'm trying to avoid my car from sliding up the track. And actually, that corner might have actually been cleaner than my hot lap corner. So maybe you just want to keep it to the bottom no matter what. I overcooked the entry there a little bit, so I had to get full off the gas. If you're trending up towards the wall, saved it. If you're trending up towards the wall and you think you're going to hit it, just get more and more out of the gas. That should be enough. And again, when you pick up that throttle, your car should not be sliding up the hill. You see that? That's actually pretty darn good. 1 and 2 is going to be just a survival. And again, you might have to start using brake later in the run. Definitely more throttle out duration. Maybe a little brake drag if you need it. That entry, it doesn't really matter what the inputs are as long as you keep that shape. I like this bottom at this track temperature because it feels like there's speed getting back to the throttle, and I can't even carry that much speed in the first place because it seems like there's low grip on the setup on entry, very loose on entry. Okay, so I ended up too low here, so I have to wait to get back in the throttle. So you really want to keep that car by the wall longer than I did there because you'll be able to get that corner exit where you don't have to work very hard for it. And that's basically what we're trying to do, is trying not to work hard. Do one more lap here. Hopefully I can get a good 1 and 2. It's kind of hard to do this track while yapping. So get out of the throttle, bring it all the way up, throttle into the top. A little touch of the wall, somehow didn't get magneted. Bring it all the way back down. Somehow that was very clean. Don't know how I didn't end up in the wall there. Early brake, get her all the way down to the bottom, get her to sit and not slide up the track. That I don't think a top line at Darlington is going to be faster than that in my opinion. I tried a little bit, I just could not get the grip getting back onto the gas. That would beat that. And hopefully that felt decent on the tires. 98, 98, so yeah, they're pretty even. You can see the temperatures are pretty even. You do want the rears as cool as possible because when you start sliding your rears and that temperature starts going up, it's going to make it harder and harder for you. A lot of that right front tire temperature, as long as you're keeping to the line, is kind of unavoidable. But otherwise, thank you all for watching. Hope you have a wonderful day. Hope to see you all on the track.